Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily uranium technical analysis update. We're going to look at the 10-year yield because that went higher today. Boom. We saw the SPUT Uranium Trust go higher. We saw a lot of the companies go higher. Outside of maybe Kazatomprom and a few others that were down throughout the day. We'll cover those as well. But the majority of them we're up quite large. We did have some reversals today. We did have some selling pressure at the end of the day. So we'll take a look at all this, and I'll give you my financial opinion on what the heck's going on here. So we've got the SPUT. Well, let's jump to the 10-year yield just real quick. The 10-year yield was up today, 2.22%, moving on up. This is a definite breakout as far as I can tell. It looks pretty clean and clear that this thing is breaking to the upside. Usually with higher yields, usually we get a little bit of a weaker dollar, and I think energy does quite well with increasing yields. As a general, just generally speaking. Now, looking at the SPUT Uranium Trust, we head on up today, 4%. It finished, I would say, in the medium type. It's not strong finish, not a weak finish, just kind of in the middle. But we're definitely above this breakout. So that's something that is positive here. Where it's a definite clean break. So hopefully, and there's some volume behind this today, hopefully we can get moving in uranium to the upside. Uranium down a little bit today with the wick at the top. Again, I think we're going to bounce around here sideways a little bit before heading higher. If we had finished today strong towards its high, I would say we were probably heading higher. But the way this thing finished wasn't too strong. So we could even cycle back a little bit before heading higher. A lot of the companies finished quite strong. We're kind of at resistance here for Bannerman. You can see a lot of trading in history at this level. And we have not broken through it. But it was up today. Goviax was another strong one. It came into some resistance up here on its resistance line where we tapped it and came back down. So we may have some more grinding sideways to do. Global Atomic, another one that came up and kissed its line and came back down. Looks like we're putting in a large pattern here, and this could go lower, guys. I mean, we could cycle back within this pattern a little bit longer, which I'm okay with. It's okay. Forces Metals is doing the same thing. It's within the pattern. It started strong, ended a little bit lower. It was still a 4% up day to day. Pure Point Uranium coming off of its resistance line, bouncing higher. Looking solid. Deep Yellow up a little bit today in the middle of its channel. So not much to really say there. Paladin is bouncing off some resistance up here. We can zoom out and I can show you what that big old pattern looks like. And it looks like, let me do this real quick. Man. It's probably more like up there, the pattern. We gotta work our way all the way up there. But we're heading okay there. Sky Harbor, we're at the top of this pattern here. Right at the top there, breaking to the upside a little bit, coming into a little bit of selling pressure at the end of the day. Kind of came back with the momentum. I'd say coming back a little bit. Next Gen Energy, again with these wicks at the top, it means that it traded up and then came back down. Momentum's coming back down, so we could see this kind of come back a little bit. Canalaska, big wick at the top. Looks like it started strong, finished with the momentum coming back down, even though we had a large up day. Big old gap. Base load, similar to the rest, a little wick at the top, kind of in this big pattern that I drew in there. Fission 3.0, little wick at the top here, coming into some selling pressure at the end of the day. Fission, little selling pressure with the wick at the top, and usually what happens is these kind of come back a little bit with the momentum coming back down. Same with Camco, they're all exhibiting these big wicks at the top, which means we came into selling pressure. Kazatomprom obviously got sold off today with the Kazakhs doing their thing in their country, protesting or whatever they want to call it. Peninsula Energy is at the top of its resistance area pattern, coming into a little bit of resistance there, but good update today. Boss Energy popping sideways, and we're still moving sideways with Boss Energy. It's a fail grabbing that thing. Lotus Resources, again, we broke to the upside, a little bit of selling pressure, leaving a wick at the top. A little bit of a down day today. Looking at UROY. UROY was killing it in the morning, and it pulled on back. It's leaving a little wick at the top. And what that wick's at the top means is that we're coming into some selling pressure. Doesn't mean that this run's done. We might have a down day tomorrow. We got to see what happens tomorrow and what's going on. Encore Energy looking quite strong. A little wick at the top. A little bit of selling pressure up here. That's what that wick is. It opens here, comes up, but the momentum's coming back down throughout the day. So we might have a down day tomorrow. Maybe. Maybe not. UU is no different than anyone else. Wick at the top here, a little bit of basically a flat day today. Ran into some selling pressure. Man, these things ran really good in the morning. They were up big. I can't believe they came back to 2.9% and 0.82 for UU. That thing was up big. Same with UEC. This thing was up big. It was running and it came back. So, I mean, it's not bad. We might have. We just want to hold above this pattern so we can keep the momentum going to the upside. LEU was up big and it actually ended a little bit lower, surprisingly. Same with LTBR. This thing was running strong in the morning, came back and ended lower. But maybe we get some more shares that we can buy over time. And we just came into some resistance, some selling pressure. ISO Energy still finished quite strong, came into this resistance line. You can see a little wick at the top there. Appy Energy finishing quite strong and a big up day, almost 11%. This thing looks like, if I were to just draw this in, looks like we're just kind of coiling up here. We're coiling on up. Probably going to make a move here shortly. Denison Mines, a little wick at the top again. We're still in the pattern. We just ran into selling pressure at the end of the day. Blue Sky Uranium, little rocket ship there, 10.13%. Doesn't look bad. Form Energy Metals, kind of a medium closing. I like when things finish strong like this guy here. So we might see this kind of pull back or go sideways for a little bit. AEC, Anfield Energy with the wick at the top, coming into some selling pressure as we approach this resistance line. Laramide, a little bit of a down day today. I don't know if it's a bearish engulfing. It's real close. But we could see this pull back maybe a little bit and kind of chop sideways before moving higher again. Western Uranium, that is surprising. This thing was up massively in the morning, and then it came all the way back and ended a little bit lower. Wow. I would not have guessed that. Would not have guessed that. UEXCF, again, flat day today, even though we ran like a behemoth this morning. And then Mega Energy is the same thing with the wick at the top. Mega Energy is right at its resistance level, this long-term pattern here, with a bullish engulfing on the monthly candlesticks. So surprisingly, that was a huge reversal day today in terms of how that went up, and they kind of all came in reverse lower. I'd like to see what tomorrow brings, because that's got me a little bit caught off by surprise, because we started this day incredibly strong, and a lot of them sold off quite a bit. So the momentum is to the downside, and we could see a couple of down days over the next day or two or three. And I want to see what those look like. If they're small, we want small down days, small little down days coming down, and then have these big bullish engulfings show up, or hammer patterns or something that reverse it and blow this thing higher. But it's quite surprising the momentum that we had this morning versus what it was at the end of the day. And that momentum shifted quite radically. It almost makes me think that a pullback is going to come, a little, further pullback, because the momentum shifted so rapidly and left those big wicks. And whenever you get the wicks, like if you take a look at this chart behind me, when you get these big wicks at the top like this, usually what happens is you get a pullback. And that's what these wicks are all up at the top here. You run into this resistance where you run into a wall of sellers and it sells it back off. So I'd like to see what happens tomorrow with those wicks that we left on the top of a lot of these companies. And I'm seeing it also in the oil group as well, the oil energy sector. So with oil doing it and a lot of the uranium doing it, I'm wondering if we're going to see a pullback over the next few days. And again, I don't try to get into how big the pullback. I'd like to see what the market's going to do, because this momentum shift of today was big. I mean, it was like boom, we're way up, and then we shifted back down throughout the end of the day. So let's see if that momentum continues tomorrow, if we see a little bit of a pullback or not, and how big that pullback is. If it's a small little pullback, then I think we're just going to keep rocking and higher at some point. If it's a larger pullback and we see a large down day, we might have a further pullback, maybe towards the bottom of where we took off from ahead of us. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.